Nice to meet you. My name is Jack. I'm the host of Pop Palace
Hi, Jack
Podcast.
and Robin.
Pop Palace celebrates iconic women and queer people in pop music and in the pop culture space. So one thing we like to do is have our guests introduce themselves. So you could tell us just a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Awesome. Um, I'm Robin Shore, aka Blond In Car, and I'm an indie pop girly who makes synth pop, indie pop, and my favorite genre, dream pop music here in Los Angeles. And I also am recently becoming a little bit of an influencer because I've gotten a following on social media and now everybody wants me to be their mom. And it makes me really happy because I just am in love with Blond In Car universe. It's all kind of the coolest people, the loveliest, sweetest, cutest looking people of all sizes, shapes, ages, and genders. And it's, I really think we're kind of creating the sweetest place on the internet. That's, Andrew, who does socials with me, said that. And it made me really happy because I don't go on weird sites where people are mean. And
Mhm.
I'm only familiar with Blond In Car universe, which is all joy and
Yeah,
kindness and sweet. So anyway, that was a long intro. What happens a little bit in interviews is people ask me one question and I just blab for an hour. I'm a big yappy person, so
that's
it happens.
amazing. It's all about you.
Yeah.
So whatever you feel like sharing, we'll love it. I love the Blonde and Car universe. It's so magical. Whenever I'm on your page, I feel like I'm not even on like the same app. It's like its own little world. It's just so
Gosh, that is just the
comforting.
sweetest thing.
Yes.
You know what? I don't even know what the rest of it's like, but I'm so grateful because it's just happened so organically,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so afraid to go on social media because I thought everyone was going to tell me I was old and ugly. And, you know, it's been so much the opposite. And I just have to say it's because Gen Z is so sweet.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Gen Z people. And I have people of all ages, but it's really Gen Z who doesn't hate their elders. And I really am so happy about it because we, can't be hating old people. We're going to be old people in about a minute. I already
Mm-hmm.
am one. You will be one. And no one wants to think that just because you turn 40, life is going to be boring, ugly, and depressing. It's awesome. Life
Yeah.
is fun. All ages are fucking cool. All ages are beautiful. And I care very much about changing people's kind of misconceptions about that.
Yeah, definitely. That's one big thing that I created the podcast for is because I originally started doing it and discovering Madonna and how ageist everyone was towards her versus like other male musicians in the same scene and same age range.
Mm,
And I feel like
wow.
people don't understand is we're only this age for 1 year. It's not even that long. Like everyone had the same age experience for one single year, so we're not all that far off.
No, it happens fast. And what happens is, even though, it's so funny to me because I always think about like if I go to the ice cream store and there's a 17-year-old kid who serves me, he looks at me and he thinks there's something other. But what he doesn't realize is I remember really well doing that job. I remember really well what it felt like to be 12 and 9 and 21 and 31 and I'm the same person. I I don't know. Some people willingly descend into this kind of boring life.
Hmm.
But I know people that do that at 19 and I know people that do that at 60. And I
Yep.
definitely know a lot of people that do it at around 40.
Hmm.
And it's a choice you make hopefully with some awareness. Like I go to parties sometimes with people that are more my age or I remember like when I was a new mom
Hmm.
and I would go to like parties with people that were mostly newish parents and they would want to talk about that stuff endlessly. And, honestly, you don't have to. It's not interesting to talk about what stroller and what diaper. It's
Yeah.
really, there's no need. You know what I did? And that's part of what terrified me about being a mom is I thought becoming a mom, particularly as a female, you get boring. You start only talking about the kids and mom. And when I go to parties and people ask me about my daughter, I'm kind of like, my daughter's 22. Ask her. If you want to ask about how Rosa's doing, check in with Rosa. She
Right.
speaks. She can
Yeah.
represent how she's doing way better than I can. And like, she's an adult. She's a person. And I'm not the agent of Rosa, and I love
Hmm.
her to death, but like, I'm not going to I don't want to go to a party and talk about my daughter the whole time unless
Yeah.
she's told me something super interesting. Like my daughter's fallen in love with Anthony Bourdain. And we had this amazing conversation
Uh-huh.
2 days ago about the crazy shit he ate and the crazy places he went and his amazing attitude and how heartbreaking it is that he was such an incredible person, but such a tormented person that he didn't want to
Yeah.
be alive. So I'll talk about that. If you want to talk to me about Rosa, I'll say Rosa and I
Hmm.
had a good conversation about Anthony Bourdain, but I don't want to talk about when she's graduating or what her grades are or whether she's got a boyfriend. Like, fuck that. Sorry.
Exactly. No,
So,
you can cuss. It's totally okay.
and here's what I want to say too, is that if you're afraid about being a parent and it's going to make you turn into the boring person, just
Hmm.
like being afraid that an old person turns you into the boring person, here's what you do. You find the most efficient person you know. If it's me, make it be me and say, have a 45-minute phone conversation and take notes. What's the best diaper? How do I avoid disposable? What's the best stroller? What's the best changing table? What's the best car seat? And you get that shit done in
Yep.
42 minutes on the phone. You don't have to talk about it at parties. Only if
Because
you want to be boring.
your whole identity isn't completely based around being a mother. You're so much other things too. And I feel like people forget that they can be multidimensional as they age, or even as they're young, they don't have to be just one particular thing.
Absolutely. And, you know, yeah, I just think there are a lot of ideas people have about what one does at these different stages of life.
Hmm.
And, you know, how I feel about all of this is I got one of these. I don't know about you. Like when people would say to me, you're quitting a film, you're quitting everything to do music. And I'm like, well, I don't know about you, but I got one of these and I'm not going to waste any part of it that I'm capable of. If I'm capable of doing fun stuff, interesting, stimulating, mind expanding things for any particular part of this little life I've got here, I'm going to do it. Now, none of us are in control, sadly, of our health. And you can live the most healthy life and still have very bad luck with health.
Hmm.
And there are things that can come along that prevent you from doing things, which is all the more reason why if you're capable of shit now, you got to do everything fun there is to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of the reason
Yeah.
I even reached out to you, because I'm like, even if she says no, there's a possibility that she'll say yes. And that's how I feel about like even what I'm doing. I'm in Oklahoma, which is not very,
Hmm.
there's a lot of queer people, but we're one of the
What's your
minority.
city?
Oklahoma City.
You're in Oklahoma City.
Hmm.
That's the capital?
Yes.
Or is and yeah, I think and that's where you've been raised.
So
That's
I
where
was
you're from.
raised about like 20 minutes south of Oklahoma City in a suburb called Norman.
Mm. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's remote where you're but I mean but I'm sure that Oklahoma City is got all kinds of city things
Hmm.
and
We just
city
don't have
people.
a lot of queer people in pop music or queer girlies in pop. So I was like, the internet
Mm.
exists. I can't move right now, but I can still make these connections from
That's
this place.
awesome. Good for
Yeah.
you.
So I'm so
Well,
thankful
and
that
you
you
take
even
advantage of the things that are good about it. And look at all your crazy. Oh my God, look how many you have. Holy
yes.
cow.
Me and my
But so
boyfriend
what's
have a
the middle shelf? Because
collection.
it looks like there's some other guys in the middle there.
They are have let me grab one.
Oh my God. So the thing that's such torture is that you never know what you bought. You open them up and you don't know what it's gonna
Right?
be.
Mhm.
And when you start to have a lot of them, you probably start to have a lot of repeats. I feel like I see repeats there.
This one's an orca
Oh,
cat. So he's a little cat in an orca body.
oh
He's
my God,
so
he's
cute,
so cute.
right?
So what's he called?
Um, I'm not sure which this one is. I don't have very many of the little cat ones. And then I have my Sunny Angels, which are the little babies, the
And
cupies.
Sunny Angels is what I have a few of. Yeah. Which one is that
Yes.
one? Yeah, I
It's
love them so much. I
just a
love
little
that
flower
one.
one.
What a beauty. I
Yes,
love
he's
that
so
one.
cute.
I'll show you. Rosa, my daughter and I get them for each other. And
Ah,
I didn't have
cute.
too many, but I'll show you the most recent one she got me was seasonal. And it's this little teapot girly Johnny Sunny Angel. I don't know what gender to call these little guys, but anyway, it's a little teapot one that was seasonal.
Oh, it's
I
so
know, it's so
cute. Oh my
cute.
gosh. I love just like any little thing to make my day a little brighter.
Yeah,
And I see them
I'm
and I
with
get
you.
happy.
I think, and that's one of the things that I think is so adorable about a lot of Gen Z kids that I see, including my daughter, is the whole feathering of one's nest. You know, like
Mhm.
the sort of beautification of your little space, whatever it is. I love it. I think it's the sweetest thing.
Yes.
It's
So,
the best thing you can do because you have, and I guess that's what I was going to say is if you're in Oklahoma City, and while it's not the urban capital of the planet with everything on this under the sun, one thing that's probably great is it's probably a little more affordable than plenty of those bigger cities.
yep.
So you can live more affordably, which gives you freedom. Living more
Mhm.
affordably gives you freedom. Save your money. Don't spend it on stupid stuff unless it makes you happy. And while you're living there and doing as much as you can um, I mean, online is incredible. It's incredible how much it brings into your world. I
Yeah,
love it. I
definitely.
love it so much.
And you give that like spark of joy to like I know I'm in a metropolitan now, but there's still queer people in those rural communities that get on TikTok and they see your like ray of light, sunshine, and it gives them a
Oh,
little bit of happiness that like there are caring people out there even if they don't feel seen in the circles that they are at now. And so
oh,
like
I love that so much. All I want is to make people a little happier. And I don't mean to sound Pollyanna-ish about it, but it's just it it's how I feel. Like I
mhm,
and you know, like when I think about even as a songwriter, um, I try to I write some sad things and I have a bittersweet vibe to some of what I do, but I don't want to write mean songs or angry songs. Really, I don't connect to angry all that easily. It's hard for me to connect to that.
mhm,
You know, it's funny. My husband of many years broke up with me in January of 2024, and I'm not even really. I don't. I have a hard time even being mad at him because I want him to be happy.
yeah,
If he wanted to break up with me, I have so much happiness in my life right now with the fact that I get to do what I'm doing with you today and things like
mhm,
this. That it's hard for me to be mad or want to spread anything negative because the world is so hard right now. And if we can, and if I'm having this really lucky little time in my life where I'm doing what I love and people are nice to me about it,
mhm.
which is amazing. And so if I can share any of that joy, it's just, that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
It's what feels
definitely.
natural to me and feels like the only way I can show my gratitude. I
And we
really am
appreciate
grateful.
it. What was the like origin story behind Blonde in the Car? Was it
Well,
something
Blond
that
in
you like?
Car, and there's no
Oh,
E
Blonde
in
in Car.
Blonde. Blond in
Yes.
Car is that what I used to do before I did music. I quit music I used to work in the film business and it was a
Mm-hmm.
really tough field. And I climbed the ladder in that world very energetically and got beat up a lot, but also I climbed the ladder. I had some pretty cool, pretty not cool. They weren't cool at all. I had pretty fancy jobs, and
Mm-hmm.
and it was tough. But the working world is tough, whatever. And so after a lot of years of doing that, I had this whole crisis of commitment about it, and I suddenly did not want to do it anymore. And which was such a weird thing because I'd been super into it, like
Mhm.
really determined to try and succeed at this thing. And I succeeded to an extent, I mean, it's hard to stay in, and I did get better and better jobs, and I raised money, and I had my own company. And then I suddenly just did not want to do it. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but what I
Mhm.
knew is that I'd never really found my calling. And so I started meditating. And the one thing that came out of that was I wanted to learn to play guitar. And I started hearing songs all the time the minute I learned guitar. And I had played classical piano, so I knew how to read music, and I knew, but I
Okay.
never ever learned or wrote a pop song, or never wrote any song ever. I was always just a fan, a major
Mhm.
fan of music, as I still am. And so, once I started hearing all these songs all the time, I just thought, what's going on? This is crazy. I'm going crazy. And then I was driving on Olympic, and I was listening to country radio, and I thought, oh my God, these people don't write their own songs. I came home and I said, I know what I'm doing with the rest of my life. I'm going to be a country songwriter. And I started writing songs for country, and that
Mhm.
segued naturally. It just evolved into me writing with all kinds of artists in other genres. And then that evolved into me writing for myself. And the reason I called it Blond in Car is that when I worked in film, I was an extra in one of the movies I produced, which is a really embarrassing movie called Peaceful Warrior. And it's based on this book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, that a lot of people love. It's kind of a self-help book, which helped me actually. It was my boss's passion project. I used to make fun of it, and then it really changed me actually. I'm grateful. I learned the big moral of the story of Peaceful Warrior, I'll just tell you right now, is it's the journey, not the destination. And when you hear people in auditions say these speeches about that stuff enough times, and you edit the movie enough times, and you work forever on this movie, eventually the moral of the story kind of rubs off on you. And I'm here to tell you it is the journey, not the destination. Although I still get ambitious about destinations, but it was good. And I really ended up having a lot of affection for the self-help guy that wrote it, who's a big guru to people. And I'm very suspicious about guru type people, but he's a really lovely man and has a
Mhm.
lot of wisdom to impart. And so I ended up caring about it, even though I didn't think I would. But anyway, there's a scene in a gas station, which ended up getting cut, but I pull up in the gas station, and I didn't even have any lines, but my whole scene got cut, but they still, because I was the producer, put me in the credits as
Uh-huh.
blonde woman in car. And when blonde is an adjective, there's often not an E.
Mhm.
So I just shortened it to Blond in Car, and I always thought that's kind of so impersonal and so weirdly LA. And it's kind of funny. And if I ever had a band, and not that I'm ever going to, that's kind of sounds like a band name to me. And so
Mhm.
when I started doing my own music, and I said, it just came out of I just filed it away, and it was just in the back of my brain somewhere. But when I was starting that project with my then producer partner, I said, so we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna meet every Sunday. We're gonna write all these songs. We're gonna release a song a month. That's what artists do, and we're gonna be called Blonde and Car. What do you think? And he said, I like that name. That's cool. And that's what it became. So that's
That's
what it was. It
awesome.
was my one credit that in a movie that I produced that I got cut out of.
I love that. That's such a fun story.
Mm.
Have there been any
It is so funny that I ended up doing that. And also, when I started working on the logo, because I love graphic design,
Mhm.
the lowercase b and the lowercase d have these nice bookends. So that was so much prettier than if there was an E at the end. And little did I know that everyone spells blonde with an E, and that it was going to be a pain in the neck. And so I'm always having to tell people it's just Blonde in Car with no E in blonde. So,
Mhm.
but that's okay.
I love
That's
it.
the
That's
name.
such a fun
That's the answer.
story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. I mean, who I never ever thought that I'd be sitting here talking about that right now, but here I am. It's
Here we
awesome. I'm
are.
so lucky. I'm so lucky.
Do you see yourself Robin and Blondin Car as one and the same, or is there like a separate persona for when you're doing
Totally.
music?
Well, sometimes when I talk I'm a producer. I was a producer. And a
Mm-hmm.
producer in any field is someone who makes to-do lists and gets shit done.
Yeah.
Like the buck stops with you, you are responsible. So when I talk about Blonde in Car and all the things I'm trying to accomplish with it, sometimes I talk about it in the third person. And my sister says to me, you don't want to be here talking, don't talk that way. You sound like you are like, it sounds weird. And I know it is sort of weird, but no, it's me. And what's really fun about all of it, this is my house. It's my clothes. It's my aesthetic. It's my everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when people say, don't tell any lies, it makes it easier to remember your story. I don't worry about too much about Blonde and Car because it's so just genuinely who I am that
Yeah.
I'm not putting on anything. And if people don't like some part of what they see me do, they just have to not like it because it's all of a piece. It's all my stuff. And I don't feel like I have to go into an interview with you like this today and feel like I have to act a certain way because it's all just me. But sometimes when I think about, like right now I'm starting to get brand opportunities. And when
Mm-hmm.
people will offer me, some opportunity and I'll go, is that Blonde in Car? And it's sort of like, so then I talk about it as
Yeah.
a brand. And I frankly love that my authentic sort of like manifestation of what I wanted to do in music has turned into a quote unquote brand because it's just beneficial. Like I love that saying. I love it because it works for me. That somebody says, like, your band isn't something that someone could dress for as Halloween at Halloween, your brand isn't strong enough. And I'm like, people could totally dress for me at Halloween.
Yeah.
Like they know what
Definitely.
it is. And
Yes.
that makes me happy because it's what I wear. It's what I
Mm-hmm.
like. And so
And
yeah, it's pretty much all the same thing. And it's kind of funny too, because while my social media has grown and it makes me really happy and I want it to, keep growing. I have my Robin Shore Instagram account and I never look at it. I never put anything on it. And I feel bad because I'm like, God, poor Robin Shore is just like dying on the vine over there, but it's all me. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it comes through very authentically you too. Because
Yeah.
I don't think the viewers or the listeners question who you are. It doesn't seem like you made up this character, then you made up a life and story for it. It's just something that you did and something that you are. And I think it's really vulnerable to be who you are and have so many people's eyes on it.
Oh, honey, it would have been if I were your age. That's what's so awesome about being old is that, you know, when like it's funny because like whatever amount of fame I've accumulated from the social media stuff, like it makes you less vain and it makes me as an old person less vain and less hung up on how I come across because, um, and it's ironic because the more of this stuff I do, the less control I have over it. And I look really ugly in plenty of videos. I look really pudgy or like I don't like the way, but like when I think about how hung up I used, and I'm kind of like, whoa, so what? It doesn't matter. There's going to be another video tomorrow and maybe I won't look bad in that one, or maybe I will. And who cares? It's,
Hmm.
it makes me so much less vain or self-conscious or shy or any vulnerable, any of the things you're talking about. Now, a lot of that's old because there's a reason I couldn't do any of this when I was younger. I cared much too much about all of that. And I'm a sensitive person. I definitely um, pick up on stuff. I
Hmm.
notice
Yeah.
when it seems like someone doesn't like me or when they don't like what I'm wearing or they don't like what I just said or
Yeah.
something. I and I have spent my life caring about those things, and I'm probably never going to change. But um, there's something about knowing I just don't have that much time, and I just got to do everything I can right now. And also everyone's been so nice. It's hard for me to feel, you know, everyone's so nice. I honestly, like, I got so beat up in the film business. I mean, no one was nice. No
Mm-hmm.
one was nice. And I was just as much of a softie as I am right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I would agonize over every, email I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
How did it come off? Or, things like that. And now look at me, I'm blabbing around. Like, I yap all the time. I reach out to, you know, I'm a big DMer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if I see that Chapel Roan wears something amazing in a video, I will write on her. I'll write like, if she posts a story about it, I'll write, "You look amazing." I can't help it. She doesn't write
Yeah.
back. It doesn't matter. But a lot of times people do. And I love the internet for that. And anyway, so I get a lot of kindness, and it makes it easier for me to expose myself. And
Yeah.
it is, but well, here's a funny thing too about songwriting. Because when you
Mm-hmm.
write songs, whether you write them for you to sing or for someone else to sing, you are bearing your soul. If you're trying to do a good job, you are bearing your soul. That's how
Yep.
you're going to write something good. There's not much point in doing it if you're not going to try and do something that is truly from the heart, that
Yep.
comes from deep inside of you. And I love that. It's an incredibly beautiful thing to get to do. And sometimes I'll write a song and I'll feel like, God, is this just too? And you learn that the minute you've heard it 16 times, it starts to just feel like a song. It starts to have
Mm-hmm.
its own little legs. And every time I felt like, oh my God, I feel a little shy about saying these things out loud and singing them in front of people.
Yep.
And then pretty soon you don't feel that way about it anymore. And so and that's one of the great things about doing anything enough times too, is that you kind of learn that lesson and you go, yeah, but I felt that way about this other song. And pretty soon it started to feel just like a song I wrote that I love, but it didn't
Yeah.
feel like too uncomfortable. And, that feeling, it goes away. It's interesting.
I love it. Is
Oh.
there, speaking of like all the kindness and positivity you've received, has there been like a standout moment or like interaction that you've had with an admirer or a fan that's really stuck out to you?
Oh, well, there's this girl I mean, it just I could mention so many, but there's
Mm-hmm.
this like high school girl in Germany that I write with, that writes to me. And she sang My Higami Girl for like her class project in some singing class. And her teacher sort of, I think she got an A, but her teacher told her it was inappropriate. She sent me the kind of um, grade, and I posted it, and it was like my biggest story that I ever posted.
Uh-huh.
But I love her because she's very smart. She's trying really hard. She feels a little bit like there aren't a lot of like-minded people where she's living,
Yep.
and I just I just love her. I mean, obviously there are famous people that have written to me. The fact that CMAT wrote to me and was such a fan and asked me to do shows with her, and she's exploding right now. And I mean, I'm not surprised. She's just an extremely amazing, talented songwriter, singer, and
Mm-hmm.
performer, and her band is amazing. So some of the famous, amazing artists that have reached out to me, or I just got to do a song with Beach Bunny. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super flattered about it. And what was really incredible is with Beach Bunny, she wrote to me on socials. We've been writing to each other a little bit. I tell her that I loved her new album and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when she And then she wrote to me and said, when on my tour, I want to bring in some special guests in each city that we go to, and what's your city? Because I'd love to have you do that. And I said LA, and I'm thinking of all the people in LA, there are way huger people than me that she might want. She said, "Oh, great, perfect." So I got to do a song with her a couple of weeks ago when she did her sold out show at the Wiltern, and the song that I did with her is called 6 Weeks, and it's an early song of hers, and it's really beautiful. I love learning it. And I played it on omnichord and sang it with her. And it was just her on guitar and me on omnichord. The band
That's
wasn't with us.
amazing.
But she does it, I guess, as her first encore, the first song of her encore. And
Hmm.
so she finished her set, and I was ready to go. We had the sound check, so we knew a little bit. I knew what to expect. And
Uh-huh.
then she came out in the wings, uh, and she said, "Okay, I'm going to introduce you." And she said, "How are you?" She's the kindest person, loveliest person. Her name is Lily, the singer and the main songwriter of Beach Bunny. And she goes, "How are you? How do you feel?" And just out of nowhere, I just blurted, "I'm nervous, I'm excited, and I'm proud." And she said, "That's perfect."
That's
And I'll
awesome.
never forget that moment. It's going to make me cry right now just to talk about it. Like, that was so kind. And the fact that in this moment of just coming off stage and being about to go do an encore, that she's asking me how I felt and making
Uh-huh.
sure I was okay and in the moment, but she's just grounded and kind like that. So that was a special thing that happened recently. But there's so many, and it's from famous people to regular people to people who reach out because they feel sad, or people who reach out because they feel happy, or people who miss their mom and they hear Gummy Girl and it makes them feel
Hmm.
connected, or
Yeah.
people who tell me I make them feel better about being old, which I love. Um, any
You're
all
just
kinds of
such
things mean so
a
much
ray
to
of
me.
sunshine. Like
Oh,
anytime
honey.
I see you on my For You page, it just immediately brightens my day. I was telling my
And
coworkers
when you
that,
say a thing like that, I can't tell you like that gives me 10 more kilowatts. Like, that just makes me want to give right back to you and give to everybody,
hmm.
because I'm so lucky. Thank you. I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were about
Oh
to
no,
say what
you're
you
good.
were talking.
I was just saying I was telling my coworkers that I got you booked for the podcast and everyone was so excited. They all know who you were.
Oh, that's so
Um
sweet.
yes. And then cuz I remember I emailed you a few months ago and you were busy and then I kept thinking in my
Mm,
head I was like I'm going to give it
mm.
a few months, but I'm going to try again because
I'm so glad you
I need to
did.
hear from her. Yes.
Yes, it's a much quieter time right now. I had a really crazy first half of the year, and now I'm able to relax a little more and clean my dining room, clean out my
Yes.
dining room so that when I get busy again. The one thing I would say, though, the one thing that I'm trying to spread the word about is the
Mhm.
fact that people know me as someone that does covers on Omnichord in my kitchen or now on my couch. And really, that's a little bit the tail wagging the dog, because I started doing social media to get people to know about my music. And I write songs. And I think that as much as people connect to Blond In Car vibage, I think that they would love the songs. They're very pretty, but a little melancholic here and there,
Mhm.
kind of joyous. I try and make them as beautiful as they can be. And I'm trying to get people to know that I make my own music, because as much as I'm happy that they find my page and I love it, I want them to find my music too. So it's hard
Definitely.
to get people to hop from, either Instagram or one of the social media platforms, the four biggies, over to whatever streamer. But I'm trying to train
Definitely.
people a little bit to do
And
that.
I'll be posting all on my on socials promoting the music as well,
Oh,
so
thank you.
they'll
I
be able to
appreciate
find
it.
it. I do have
Thank
one
you.
last question that we
Sure.
ask all of our guests to create their own royal court going off the palace theme of three musical either influences or idols that would sit at the throne with you.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I just have to say, Beach House, Karen Carpenter, and Teenage Fan Club.
Amazing.
I mean,
Awesome.
or always. I mean, it's so hard to. Maybe I would say always because that's the modern version of Teenage Fan Club, and she's a girl
Hmm.
singer, and she's yeah. So maybe I would say that. I'd say Beach House, Karen Carpenter, and always.
Amazing.
Thank
Well, thank
you,
you so much
Lenny.
for
Thank you for
joining
having me.
us. Of
I hope I
course.
wasn't too yappy.
Oh,
I have a
this was
lot to say all
perfect.
the time.
This was
Thank you.
perfect. You made my day so much better. So I
Oh,
just know
sweetie.
everyone's gonna enjoy it. And I'll email you about all the details about uploading it and everything.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for having me. And
Of
please do keep
course.
in touch and best of luck with
Yes.
everything you're working on.
Thank you
Sending
so
big
much.
kisses. Bye, honey.
Bye. Bye.